All right, so this is going to be a shorter video, kind of just about what to do during a podiatry school interview or any medical school interview, what not to do, and what to bring. Because I feel like that was some of the questions that were on my mind when I prepared for interviews. So just to start off, in my last video I talked a little bit about kind of how the process goes, what your interview day looks like. So if you have questions about that, go check out the last video. And just as a recap, a lot of times your interview day is very long and tedious. Like some of the interviews I went to, they started at 8 in the morning and they went till 4 p.m. And that's most of the in-person ones. Some of the Zoom ones are a little shorter, but still prepare for at least a couple hours of being on Zoom or in person. And with that, remember that it's not just about the 40 or 20 minutes or whatever you're answering questions. That is not the whole interview. The whole interview is the entire time you're there, whether again you're on Zoom or in person. The whole day is your interview, so treat it like that. Because if you're messing around or not paying attention or not engaged during the rest of the interview process, like during, an interview, or I guess not an interview, but like a information session about student activities, if you're not engaged during that, they're gonna notice. So just try really hard to remember, I need to have on my big girl pants, my professional face for this whole time. And once you're in the zone, it's really not that bad. And then I think just with that, when you're thinking about going into these interviews, try to think what the administrators are looking for. What do they want to see in you? And what do you want to show them as characteristics of who you are? I think really important things are, professionalism and diligence, engagement, hard work, focus. And so try to do small things throughout your interview day that show that. It's really the small things that add up and leave your interviewers with a really positive taste of who you are. So I'm going to tell you guys a couple little things that will hopefully give you an edge up in that way. As far as the biggest no-no and the biggest thing to make a difference in a positive way, it would be your cell phone use. I would say just take that bad boy, turn it on airplane mode, and then put it into the deepest, darkest corner of your purse or your suit pocket and don't touch it. This is really important because if you're constantly checking your phone, or even if you're getting notifications on your watch while you're in the interview or walking around with the administrators, it's going to show that you're not very engaged and not very present in the moment. For example, I was at an in-person interview and it was just me and this one other girl in person. And so we just had us and the head admissions guy who was taking us around the campus and giving us this whole day event. And this girl, she said it was her top school. She was really excited to be there. But even from my point of view, seeing how she was acting, it didn't really seem like that because she was on her phone a lot. When we were in a golf cart driving around campus, I was trying to talk with the administrator and be like, oh wow, what pretty flowers you guys have, or oh, tell me about that building on campus. Just trying to be engaged. And I really was so excited to be there, so I wanted to be asking questions and I wanted to, see everything I could, and I was excited to be there. It was cool. I had a little trip, and this girl was sitting in the other seat and she was on TikTok. And I was like, no, this is not good because she was not engaged, not paying attention, and not proving to that administrator that that was the place that she wanted to be at. And so really keep that in mind because they notice things like that. And you might not notice that you're doing things like that until you make a conscious effort to not. I don't think that girl was really thinking about her being on TikTok or responding to messages on Instagram. I don't think she realized what she was doing. She was just going about her average day. But you are literally at a medical school interview. You've worked your whole life to get here. What could possibly be so important on your phone? Nothing. Nothing is as much important as your interview right now. So put it away. I know it was like kind of a long soapbox, but I just feel like that's really important. All right, so moving on from that, what are some things that you should bring for your interview day so you feel prepared and not over-prepared? You can't show up with like a backpack of stuff because you're gonna look kind of like you're camping and you're hobo. So you need to have like the right amount of things. For me, I brought this purse right here. I feel like it was a good size. It's kind of just like small, low profile, black, and it's not super flashy. But inside I had some essentials. So I had like a little pocket where I could put all of like the business cards and stuff I got from people that I met that day. And then I had a chapstick or a lip gloss that I was using, and a tissue in case I had like a bloody nose or something. And then I had a hair tie in case my bun started to fall out. And then I had a pen and a notebook. Now I picked out this notebook because I felt like it was low profile and small, it fit in my purse, and it didn't have unicorns on it because I didn't want to be that person. And this is really important actually because this is a way that you can remember the best things about your interview day later, and also it shows that you're engaged. So like I said earlier, you're going to get a lot of information from these people. They're going to sit down with you and they're going to talk about financial aid and student resources, and they're going to tell you about all the reasons why you need to go there. And you're going to hear that from every school you interview at. And you're going to want to be able to compare notes between all the different schools and know what was most important to you, what like impressed you the most. And so while you're there, like take notes in your notebook about things that you want to remember. That also again shows, oh, she's paying attention. That's good. And then I would also make sure to bring just like a little water bottle. It can just be like a throwaway disposable one that you get from Walmart or whatever. And I think that's better than bringing your hydro flask that has like all your fancy stickers on it, because again, it just shows like minimal professionalism, and it's something you can throw away if you need to. Like if you're tired of holding it, like you ran out of water and you're like, I just gotta toss this, you can. But if you need a sip of water and they don't give you one, then you have a small water bottle that you can just take a sip from. So that would be my what to bring with you. All right. Now, what to wear. This is one that I struggled with a lot because I struggled picking out my outfit just to go to school in the day. And so to pick out an outfit for an interview was actually really intimidating. But I found that the most important thing was, of course, professionalism, but also just picking out an outfit that I felt like I could be confident and comfortable in. Because if I felt awkward, then I was going to act awkward. And so if you can just find an outfit that you feel like is professional, but also feels like you, then I think you're gonna rock it. So don't overthink. And this can be done on a budget too. When I first started looking at outfits, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to spend like $200 on a blazer. And you know, you can. Honestly, like you're gonna be a professional your whole life, so you can buy really nice outfits. But if you're also struggling to make ends meet, this does not have to break the bank. So what I wore, and this is again just an example, this is not doctrine, it's just what I felt like was good after trying on a lot of different things. So I found these nice like gray slacks. They're just really standard, but they fit well. That was important. They have like a little crease down the center. These gray slacks I got at a thrift store. They were like $6. It's great. And then I got this to be like an accent color. This is a blue shirt with a collar and buttons. I got this on Amazon for like 20 bucks. And then to kind of tie that all together, I had my black purse I showed previous, and then I had my shoes, which are just my Daks, definitely the most like expensive part of this outfit. And then this belt, also from Amazon. And like I said, you don't have to break the bank. I bought really expensive shoes because I honestly haven't bought church shoes or dress shoes in like 7 years, and it was a little overdue. So that was kind of nice for me, a little treat. But you can kind of just tie in whatever you feel like is best. And with hair, if you're a girl and you have like long tangly hair like me and you're constantly like playing with it and you're like readjusting as you're sitting there and making sure it looks good, I would just say put it up, because then you're not bugging with it the whole time. I put mine in like a low bun just in the back of my head, and it was great. It was just like put away, and I didn't think about it and mess with it. On that same note, if you have like a fidget spinner ring or something that you're constantly playing with, try to take note of that when you're trying to practice for the interview, when you're just speaking through questions. Notice, like, am I constantly playing with my hands or with my hair or with my bracelet? Because that could detract the interviewer from your actual answer, and they could be focusing on your bracelet instead. And so just try to think of those things. And even though it's a really small change, just think about maybe taking off your ring or your bracelet or whatever is distracting you. And then moving on from that, I would say one of the biggest stressors of the whole interview day, if you're going in person, is figuring out where to go. I would definitely recommend, if you like have time, if you fly into that place the night before or something, drive to that school and scope out where you think you're supposed to be going that day. Because I didn't do that for one of my interviews, and then I was late because I went to the wrong side of campus. And so that was really stressful for me, and it was not my finest moment. I felt really embarrassed because I'm usually like a very punctual person, and being late stresses me out like none other. And so I would just recommend finding and making sure this is the place, that side of the campus, this exact building, that's the place you need to be before you just full send that day. And then with that, like, I was late to that school interview. I was late by, not a ton. It was like 8 minutes, but I still was really embarrassed about it. And it worked out in the end. It totally did. And I actually did get accepted to that school. It didn't damper the rest of my interview day. But I would just say, like, try not to do that. But if something happens and you are late and you are, frazzled, just try to take a deep breath and remember that it will be okay. Because these interviewers are just like you and me. They're just people. And they understand that things happen sometimes. And so you're just going to be making a bigger problem for yourself if you constantly beat yourself up about something at the very beginning. Just let it go and try your best. And it'll work out. It really will. With that, I would say my last little tip is try to just be like a sponge when you're there. Just try to absorb it all, like I said earlier. Being actively engaged in the interview process is a really important part. Again, whether you're in Zoom or on Zoom or in person, just being engaged is really important. And at the end of the day, you're probably, hopefully, right, you're going to have a couple schools that accept you. And hopefully you were paying attention in those interview forums where you got to kind of get to know the school. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to be able to pick the school that's the right fit for you. And so this is kind of your chance to meet the school and hopefully meet student ambassadors. A lot of the interviews that I had times where I could talk with students. And that was super valuable because for me, I can't really see something in my future until I kind of have an accurate picture of what that might look like. And so I always ask questions about, like, okay, tell me what your Tuesday looks like, or like, what does your day look like for classes, or when do you get home? Do you have time for laundry? Like, just random questions, because I need to know what that lifestyle would look like, or how the campus is, how the people are, in order for me to know if that's going to work out for my life. I know some people who went to medical school interviews, and after they went to interviews and they talked to schools and got to know people, and they realized that this was not for them, and they'd gotten that far, but they realized, I think I actually don't want to go to medical school. And you know, it's better then than when you're in medical school paying for medical school. So with that, again, just be a sponge, absorb all the information that you possibly can, ask tons of questions, and honestly, that's kind of why I'm making these videos, is because I've asked so many questions and I've had so many, doubts as well in my mind about if I could do things or if things would work or how things would happen. And I wanted to make videos like this while I was preparing for podiatry school and in podiatry school, so I could kind of give you guys like a day in a life and answer questions for people who are trying to also do this path. So if you're on the podiatry path, if you have questions about that, please like and follow, or I guess subscribe. And I just hope that your journey is going well and that you're not too discouraged, because things will work out. And if you're watching this because you have interviews soon, good luck. You're gonna kill it.